Yeah, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you, depending on your location. We are so excited to have you on this platform for us to brainstorm, to discuss, to share ideas on the Ghana's tea industry. This is a platform for the University College of Water Science and Engineering. It is a very young university located in Sunyani in the Bono region of Ghana. Very young, but trying to rob soldiers with the traditional universities. We have been organizing series of webinars on various topics, and this is just one of them. So for today's webinar, we are going to look at brewing economic growth, unlocking the potential of Ghana's tea industry. This is a very exciting topic for me because the Ghana's tea industry is not well developed as you can find in Ethiopia, in Kenya, in Malawi, and in big countries like China, India, and the other countries. Tea in Ghana is largely grown, by smallholder farmers. So the industry is really not well formalized. I have the opportunity to visit tea farms in China, very large tea plantations, and I can really testify to the economic potential of tea. So it is therefore very refreshing to have such a discussion on tea, especially in Ghana, where some of the companies that are into tea production are folding up and or relocating to other countries. So this is good news for Ghana. So it is good for us to discuss what is the potential of the Ghana's tea and what can we do to to improve upon our production capacity and to make the tea industry quite attractive for young ones to join. So it is an exciting event, and I can't really wait to have ideas being shared and lessons learned about tea production in Ghana. Fortunately, we have tea experts, and the presenters are very knowledgeable in the field, and they will be sharing with us their knowledge, their experiences as far as tea production is concerned. So I welcome all of you to this discussion, and may we all feel free to share our ideas and thoughts and impressions about tea production. Please, if there is a question you want to ask, you can just type it in the chat box, and then we will read them out as the presentation progresses. So on this note, I welcome all of us once again for this webinar, and I call on Mr. Mohammed, if you can hear me, and then if you are ready and can take over and then share with us what you have. So Moses, can you share the screen? Can you share your screen? Okay, so Mr. Mohammed, if you can see the screen, this is your presentation that has been shared by Moses. So you can speak to it, and we will control the movement of the slides over here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Mohammed.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me to this webinar. It was a month back when Dr. Amos Kaboba, who was my classmate in Holland, have called me, and he was mentioning that we have to think how we can unleash the potential of tea industry in Ghana. Then I readily agreed, and this was my pet subject, and I wanted to share in a global platform like I do it in Bangladesh and other parts of India. Uh, my credentials are, I have been in the field for last 46 years in the tea plantation, specialized in drainage, irrigation, and pest management. And I had been advising on human resource in different platforms. And my association with the tea department in North Bengal University and Assam Agriculture University has been, one of the stepping stones for the entrepreneurs as well as the new plant breed of planters. I'm here basically to share uh, what is Indian experience, as well as to take some cue from what is happening in Ghana as regards tea. And I'm going to show you and share with you how these areas or the avenues we can replicate in Ghana and make it a very thriving industry for the benefit of economic upliftment and rural employment, which we have achieved in India. So this will be quite useful, and I thank once again for the University College of Water Science and Engineering for inviting me for this, and I go ahead with my presentation. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, I have a agenda here. Uh, this is starts with the introduction and what is the current tea import scenario in Ghana, and why Ghana should start looking at an industry which can be equally thriving as cocoa and coffee. I have to similarly or parallelly share with you what is the Indian tea market overview, how it is growing over the period of time, and what are the challenges we are facing, and the different type of teas that we are going in for to get more consumers and customers, and how we are doing diversification of different tea as per the customer need, and how we can secure this tea supply with with planning beyond our imports. And in India, we have a small tea growers, which is a thriving tea industry now. And the same can be taken up as a blueprint for tea growing in Ghana. Parallelly, we have large tea plantations, which Mike has just mentioned that he has seen them in China. We have in Assam and down south in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, large tea plantations. We have been there for now 120 years plus. But these plantations are thriving still with quality production and with good market demand. And I will share with you what are the value added strategies when we start growing tea in Ghana, and as well as we'll building a thriving ecosystem in that part of the country, uh, and what we can learn from Indian experience. And finally, what could be the economic impact in Ghana for developing the industry as well as generating wealth for the country. So, to start with, Ghana has is a major player in the global cocoa market that everyone is aware of. But since cocoa and tea, it has got parallel cultivation practices, and it has got a potential of growing tea as well, along with cocoa. And I want to highlight here the untapped market and economic benefits of Ghana's tea industry. And here we can just be in a stepping stone for building up a blueprint for development. The purpose I am here with you today to explore how Ghana can emulate the India's successful tea market to boost its economy and reduce dependence on import. Next slide, please. You see, this is a very, very serious state. Ghana has spent to the tune of 121 million dollars importing tea, especially coming from China uh, and other countries. And this is a revenue which is being spent on importing tea alone. This figure is gradually stagger up because tea has is been a very popular drink as a cultural ritual and social custom, and it's a way of life in Ghana. As is well, this is a way of life in tea. We welcome anyone with a tea. So this is a way. Uh, this drink is going to be popular and more demanding, and unless we think of developing tea industry in Ghana, we will end up in importing more and more tea in terms of US dollars. So therefore, we have to think of growing tea and diversify and strengthen the national rural economy as well as national GDP. Next slide, please. You see, in India, the industry is 150, more than 150 years old, and we have huge area under plantation. The valuation of Indian tea in 2024 is $11 million, and it is expected to grow in 10 years to the tune of $17,000 million. So the market volume is increasing because the consumerism is on the rise. There are more demand for teas, and with diversification, with value addition, so this growth is going to be exponential. And this is where a similar situation will develop in years to come in Ghana also. The type of tea what we deal in India is a black tea, which is grown in the plantation. Then we have green tea, which is specifically made. Then we have oolong tea, which is a Chinese type of tea in between black tea and green tea. Then we have specific white tea, and with unique flavors and aromas. So these are specifically grown and marketed as per the customer demand. Next slide, please. Why the growth is exponential in Indian market? The consumer prefers tea with medicinal properties and antioxidant values. And having this, the young generation is bent on consuming more and more cuppage of tea. So therefore, the demand is growing. Secondly, the expanding export opportunities. This export opportunities is coming from different countries because they want Indian tea with uh, different value addition. And in India also, the area is being expanding because of the favorable climatic conditions and diverse geographical support for different type of teas. Like we have Darjeeling tea, we have Assam tea, we have Kachar tea, we have Duars tea. I think these are terms are very limited to growing tea in India, except that Darjeeling tea is globally famous. Then, when it comes to the medicinal properties, people have started growing organic tea and specialty tea. And these are the health conscious consumers. They are going in for more of organic tea and specialty tea as of white tea, then spice tea, then pellet teas, and other stuff. There's lot many thing is available in the market, and consumer is very aware about these uh, fresh trend of teas. And e-commerce expansion. E-commerce has been a platform where these diversification, diversification or value-added teas are marketed, and depending on the consumer preference. This may be explored and uh, marketed in non-drinking traditional countries, as far as Alaska, Canada, and for that matter, beyond the boundaries of traditional Indian markets. Next slide, please. Now, what are the challenges we are facing in Indian market? As it grows, the similar situation may come in Ghana. So we have to prepare ourselves how to adopt a strategy for sustainability and quality maintenance. This we have, as we're aware, with climate change and different situations, floods and drought. We are facing this uh, as a beginning. So we have strategically planned to counter these adversities. And we have competition from alternate beverages like coffee, different fruit juices, and energy drinks that are competing with this traditional tea consumption, as well the organic tea or value-added tea with the younger generation. What are the types of tea we do in Ghana, as in India, which can finally will come in due course once we start planting tea. We have black tea. This is the highest market value in Indian consumerism. Then we have now a growing trend of green tea, and we have herbal tea. These are teas with addition of herbs. Then we have oolong tea, which is very much like Chinese tea, and gardens are started giving preference to uh, market demand for this oolong tea. And we have flavored tea. Flavored tea, it is with have spices. We have cocoa added to it. We have iced tea to it. We have lemon added to it, and we have white tea. This is a white tea is a premium tea. It is comes in a specific type of tea and manufactured in Assam as well as Darjeeling, where it is a velveted tea, and the tea appears to be white, and the liquor is also a very plain, but it has got a very decent aroma. It's a customer preferred tea. Then the packaging, it has got an impact on the consumer. Now it's a very common thing to have a tea in tea bags, and this has got the highest market share in India. Then from a change of this tea bag, there people are going for distinct attractive containers, and loose tea in 200 grams, 300 gram, 500 gram, depending on the location and the customer preference. And we have packaging is coming up in paper boards for ready-made teas, and aluminum tins are also attractive. And there are other innovative and eco-friendly options which you have now: tea bags with a thread, or tea similar to a bag but without a bag with a thread. So the use of tea bags are reduced, and you are exposed to a very good flavory tea. It's called tea balls, the size of a small marble. And this has been very popular in Indian high-end market. And this growing tea market, the distribution is traditional markets, buyers, they buy and blend it. Now there are supermarkets and hypermarkets. They're all there to attract different customers and consumers. And convenience stores, they are chai. We in India, tea is called chai. These are coming up as convenience stores where you can have a cup of ready tea, and specialty stores with different varieties of tea. And you can find it in the airport, you can find it in different high-end streets. These specialty stores are available with varieties of tea. And of course online, this is available in Amazon and other different web platforms. Next. Now we are into a diversification mode. The traditional tea of growing orthodox tea, which is uh, a leafy type of tea, versus CTC tea. So prefer CTC tea because of the higher cuppage. So from half a kg of tea, you can make 500 cups of tea. So that adds a cuppage, and especially for uh, consumers, they would prefer CTC tea for to have more cuppage out of the tea product itself. And there are ready to use flavored tea like instant tea. You will find it now in India. Several companies have started manufacturing instant tea, and tea bags are already there. And to deviate from this, they are coming in with different tea bags with enriched flavors, like with cardamom, with pepper, with lemon, ginger, and different flavors. Uh, this are also in great demand because the customers' habit is changing towards specific teas. Then blending and special blends. Where tea is grown in India, one sector is Assam, one sector is Darjeeling, one sector is Duars, one sector is down south Kerala. So these teas are blended as per the consumer preference. So Assam and Darjeeling blends also you will find, with global tea players like Unilever's, which has been Tata Global Beverages, they're into this. And single owner gardens also now going in as the demand is increasing for Assam and Darjeeling type of. Assam is traditionally a very strong tea. Darjeeling is a very fine flavory tea. So blending of this has got a market for a specific young generations, which they enjoy the strong Assam tea with the flavor of Darjeeling. Then there are new products on the line. They are uh, ice creams flavored with tea. Then the bottle tea is on the market, and it is on the pipeline to have tea tablets where you can have a small tea tablet, put it in the glass, and after some time you can. Then tea candy, tea toffees, and tea cakes and biscuits are on the pipeline. So this is the area of diversification to be the leader in consumerism. Next slide, please. So what we are thinking with this strategy, with the background to grow tea uh, in Kenyan Tea Development Corporation model for small growers in Ghana. This will start in a small way, and this initially tested with success in Kenya from 1950 onwards. And this model has been translated in Indian situation, Bangladesh situation, and different parts of tea growing areas are attempting this small tea grower segment. It was in China. Uh, but now it is transformed into different tea growing countries. When you have a small tea growers model side by side, if land and workers or land especially is available, which is suitable for tea growing, we can think of mechanized large plantations in Ghana. Because the cost factor will be a very much valid statement to have large plantations and go in for large production. And while on the subject, we have to go consider and go in for crop diversification so that small growers, they have dual benefit of growing tea and growing pepper, growing cardamom and other stuff. And while these small growers bringing in their tea and start marketing, they can add value so that their realization from the sales are higher than the normal. Next. What are the small growers in tea? How they are, the shaping the Indian tea scenario. They are small growers. They only have a small plots to the tune of 10 hectares or even less. This is a version of Kenya's tea growers model, which has been transformed in India, and it started in 1979 onwards. And these lands were available around the vicinity of bigger tea plantations where they could grow their tea and supply this tea to the bigger tea factories. Over the past 30 years, this has become a social revolution and empowering farmers for giving employment opportunities and a very viable commercial crop. Next slide, please. I am giving you a slide where I am showing you, see the small growers, now it is growing to the 1,50,000, and area is also growing with a contributing to 160 million kgs, which is almost 52% of Assam's production alone. And they are employing 1 million uh, workforce. Whereas in the large plantation, they have been there for 100 years now. Their area is quite big. Their production is also at 728 million, and they have a regular workforce of employing 2 million for that large group of industries. Now, these small tea growers, they contribute 52% to the Assam's production of 700 million kg annually. As per the 2022 data, there are 350 bottling factories to take care of these small growers' production. And how they are growing? They are growing with a technical support from the Indian Tea Board, Assam Agriculture University, and other agriculture universities in the states where the tea is grown, and backed by small and financial institution support for buying fertilizers, chemicals, and cultivation during dry period. This figure is staggering, and every year it is growing. Now we have 239,000 young farmers, vibrant and involved in tea plantation. This is what the shaping the new Indian uh, tea production. Next slide. Uh, this slide I want to show you, sharing with you how to build a sustainable future. So the first is we have to do a socio-economic survey. Whether the land is suitable, whether worker rural community is willing to take this new industry at their doorstep and start growing tea. For that, we have to look for small nurseries to big nurseries to support the growers. After that, we have to train them. Then the government role from the T board, and T board, they basically finance the projects, small projects, and then do the backup of training. Then validate from T research. We have 150 years of T research institute, being the oldest to apply T research institute, and the research findings are translated to the field, from lab to field. And to grow tea, it is it requires a long term investment, and this investment, the tea crop after planting can come to bearing after fourth or fifth year, provided every scale is very well under control, and growing conditions and aftercare is done. So this gestation period, we will require internal or external funding. These external fundings are available in India in terms of Rainforest Alliance, in terms of Solidaire, with different IHD, international funding, FAO, basically to cater the uh, health and hygiene of the workers, and regular training of farmers on tech know-how. Uh, Depending on the growers' basic level of education, regular training of farmers will always boost them to go forward and to take more and more areas under tea. While on the subject, we have to think of quality upgradation. While tea is plucked over a particular time frame, 7 days in India, 10, 12 days in other countries. When you do machine plugging, it says 14 to 21 days. But that at times can deteriorate, affect the quality. So while the production is under full steam, we have to think in terms of quality upgradation, so that the customer preference is not changed to other type of tea which will may come from other parts of the world. So they have to be focused. No, our Ghanaian tea is very quality tea, so we must drink quality tea all the time. And once you have the product, we have to depend on a marketing and promotion of tea. The generic tea, national Ghanaian tea, should be promoted in non-traditional areas, because in sub-Saharan region you have competitors like Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, South Africa, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Rwanda. Now, these plantations are big plantations, so their production level will be very high, and the cost of production, if it is lower than Ghana, then the people will start importing tea from other parts of the world. So that will be diluting the whole strategy of growing tea in Ghana. So we have to very carefully do the socio-economic survey. Based on this economic survey, then the government or the commerce department of commerce, department of agriculture, all that put join hands together to make the blueprint and start supporting growers for growing tea in a small way, then carry on to next step of slightly bigger, and then go for finally bigger tea plantations. Next slide, please. You see here the growth of small growers. In Assam, we have 120,000 small growers. In West Bengal, this is very little, 8,000. In Tamil Nadu, they were also equally pioneer in as the tea growers, small tea growers have come. There are 61,000. In Kerala, this is 5,999. Other states, it's totaling up to 7. So the small tea growers cultivation is growing, and which can be a blueprint for Ghana. Next slide, please. Here, I want to show you the cost. Anything involved, people will come grow tea, but at what cost? So I wanted to share with you that is a very viable proposition to start cultivation of tea. If you have 1 hectare tea, it takes you only 11% of your revenue. If you have a bigger area, it will be around 10%. So basically, it is 10 to 11% of your total revenue, which is utilized for cost of cultivation, and rest is your the profit can be high. And others tables I have shown you, and the growth, what you can, if you have got a small land, it can give you 5,400 kgs of green leaf. If it 3 acres or more, it can equally give 3,800 kgs of tea. Then in total, if you have from all the size, it is a 4,483 kgs of yield per hectare, which is a very good yield because the soil is uh, fertile, and the weather is conducive in these tea growing areas. It can support a very good yield and profitable business. And see now what is in the second slide. I'm trying to show you the area under small growers at more than 3 acres is growing at 91,000. So they prefer to grow more so that your in cost of cultivation is less. So, and the percentage distribution is also at 55, which is very fast catching up in all the available areas in Assam, Duars, and Bengal. Next slide, please. Then we have these big, large-scale tea growers, which we call tea states. These are more than 300 hectares of under tea, and they always add up to bulk production. They produce 10 millions, 12 million, 15 million, and they have standard quality control measures. And their labor management has been under one roof. So this helps in the production because of the bulk quantity of tea. And they have a specific marketing and as per the demand of the consumers, whether it is Western India, whether it is North India, whether it is Central India or down south, or even for export. Next slide, please. So how this Indian tea states or and the small tea growers are are brewing a success story. They always go for planting high yielding clones, planting material, and then good agriculture practices and pest management so that pesticide level is very low in the tea you drink. Then when you do planting or growing tea, you have to think two factors with the climate change. One is drainage and one is irrigation. And because soil conservation is equally important so that you don't lose soil after the plantation is being done. So soil conservation takes a priority in this effect. And while brewing this success, the quality control during manufacture is of top priority. And finally, cost management so that it is cost effective while you make the per kg of tea. Next slide, please. Uh, market when once you produce, they're in the form of bulk tea from the big tea growers, and this bulk tea is sold through auction, and the buyers again they take it to their blending factories with with welding factories, and they do the packaging or exporting. Then consumer packaging, now it is a consumer oriented, in the platform like mega malls or the super malls or normal mm, malls where you find tea. These modern packaging, attractive packaging materials are given uh, by different brands. There are almost 212 different brands available for consumer to pick and choose. Then you have product processing. Now this is very much in practice, extracting tea solubles for instant tea, and for other flavors like with ginger, with lemon. This product processing is fast catching up trend in the marketing tea. Then you have flavored teas. These are all adding spices and floral addition like roses and chamomiles and other medicinal plants. Then you have tea colas, tea toffees are also on the pipeline, and tea biscuits. This is already all in the pipeline and topped up with tea cakes. Next slide, please. Uh, when you grow tea uh, in a small plot of land, and there's a gestation period of 3 to 4 years or 4 to 5 years. At the same time, the cultivator or the small tea grower or the farmer cannot wait long. So he has to develop a multi-cropping strategy, which is very much valid in tea plantation as cash crop. Their coconuts, their coffee, their pepper, their cloves, their rubber, their cardamoms, and there are in Assam, it is very famous. It's called areca nut, betel nut. So these are simultaneously grown with the tea. The photograph here I am showing you is about with tea, pepper growing with tea. So they add value to the coffer. Next slide. What can Ghana learn from Indian experience? Uh, Sooner or later, uh, we have to take tea as a health drink. It has been there for 500 years with thousand different type of tea being drinking in China alone. So it is in then followed by Japan. So it is a very good health drink, and we must promote this tea growing as a alternative to a good health drink. Then focusing on organic and specialty tea. Organic tea with that where no chemical inputs are added, and specialty tea, it is a customer oriented tea. So these are growing very fast in Indian scenario, and similar thing when it is a way of life. As in India, the consumers in Ghana also will definitely start looking into specialty tea, where you have hibiscus, you have lemongrass, you have moringa, you have senna, and you have aloe vera. So these are readily available specialty tea for Ghanaian market, and everyone is now into utilizing e-commerce so to expand the market. And side by side, we have to think about our climate change, the changing pest scenario, and the soil erosion with the minimum way of growing tea for sustainability. And we have to develop unique tea blends to attract the younger generation. What they like? They like cocoa tea, they like iced tea, they like lemon tea, or they like tea with hibiscus, which is available in plenty in Ghana, or with lemongrass. So these kind of tea market we can explore depending on the consumer preference. Next slide. Side by side, when you have tea growing in the field, in a larger plantation to smaller plantation to larger plantations, there's a economic impact to thrive the industry, and this is happening in India to boost tourism. So you can see these tea traditional bungalows, which the British have started in Assam and all the tea growing areas of India. Now they have tea tourism, where they see the plantations, how being maintained, how being planted, how being grown, how it is plucked, how it is manufactured, and with a unique testing experience. And it's all luxury at the lap of nature. So people love to come and see the unique experience. In due course of time, this will be a way to boost the tourism in the tea gardens, and it will create jobs, employment in different level, and empower the rural communities to improve the livelihoods economy. That's as I have mentioned, the diversification, and growing tea with pepper, with other value-added plant crop. So they will empower the uh, livelihood of in the rural areas. And finally, it will reduce, once you grow a lovely acres and acres of Ghanaian tea, it will reduce the import bill and increase the domestic production, and decrease the reliance in import. So this is where I have come forward to give you a hand, so that the new faces of Ghanaian tea takes to as a market leader in whole of Africa. Well, thank you very much. This is what I had to share with you. If you have any question, I would be delighted to.
Very well. Thank you very much for that insightful presentation.
Thank you.
Um, Very, very good. Very good.
Thank
So
you.
at this moment, can we interact with our participants?
Yes.
So please, if you have a question, kindly ask, or you can write on the chat box, then we'll read it out.
Uh, Hello, good
Hello.
Yes.
morning. Yeah, I was thinking that maybe I'll make my own presentation so that we'll take the questions and answers together.
Right.
Oh, oh, okay. I was thinking maybe we could just move along with the participants. But well, that is fine. So, Prof, then kindly give us your presentation, then we
Yeah,
can then lump the questions together.
okay.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon from Uganda. Good afternoon from the Nexus International University Sustainable Futures Institute. And then, what is our interest in the Ghana tea industry? Essentially, our university's Sustainable Futures Institute will provide essential scientific support for environmental, social, and economic policy development, implementation, and broader decision making. So it is on that platform that we interrogated the topic about the question of the Ghana tea industry, and then to give our own economic perspective so that it will guide us in implementing some of the things that have been highlighted by the presenter, Mr. Mohammed Farid. Thank you so much. You're
Thank
giving
you.
us a very good overview of Ghana, of India, but also in moving from India to Ghana, it's good for us to also know the economic imperatives so that we are well aware of what exactly are we dealing with. First of all,
Thank
if
you.
you look at the Ghana tea industry, the tea consumption in Ghana provides a very, very good market. Based on available statistics, if you look at the domestic value of tea, in other words, tea that are sold in Ghana in supermarkets and convenience stores, within the last 2 years, the amount of money generated is quite enormous, over 300 million US dollars, meaning that tea is something that people buy a lot in supermarkets. If you also look at restaurants and bars and places where tea is served as part of meals, you have a potential of the last analysis this year is about 50 million US dollars, which means that there's a domestic market for tea consumption. Tea is not just consumed, but tea is also something that is very much appreciated by Ghanaians, is a part of the Ghanaian cultural life, as you have mentioned. However, what are the economic challenges in terms of Ghana tea? It may also surprise you to note that Ghana is both an importer and an exporter of tea. Ghana imports tea, but also exports tea. But the negative is a negative trade. Ghana exports its own tea to countries like UK, Netherlands, and the US. But the amount of money Ghana makes from exporting tea is less than 100,000 US dollars annually. And like you already told by the presenter, what Ghana imports in terms of tea is over 121 million US dollars, which makes it even much more. The imbalance is so high, you can't even put a percentage to it. So the point is, there's already some a potential for exports. But what is the problem? Why is Ghana industry not growing in terms of tea? And what can be done to make it grow? I think that is the major focus of what we are discussing. And how can we use the examples from India as a way of helping us understand the growth potential of the Ghana industry? Based on available statistics, it is projected that the Ghana tea industry has a potential of 10% growth annually, which means there's a big market. But then there's also disturbing news this year. Unilever, one of the big producers of tea in Ghana, is moving out. They decided to move out of the country and to ship their production of tea to Nigeria. And what was their complaint? They complained about the economic conditions. And then if you interrogate that economic condition further, you find out that the major challenge with the tea industry right now is, rather than the government promoting tea as an export, the government is promoting alternatives. There are so many alternatives to tea right now in Ghana, and most of the local entrepreneurs who are into tea production are making variants of different types of tea. So there is no directed program at improving tea as an export potential. The Ghanaian government does not see it currently as something that can earn foreign exchange. It is seen mainly as something that, well, people just engage in it and then they try to help themselves. That is the first problem with the tea industry. The second problem with the tea industry is that generally within the Ghanaian economy, there's a lack of integration between the industrial sector and the agricultural sector. The two sectors seem to be running at different levels. Agriculture is on one side, each of them are in a silo. So there is no attempt to unify the sector in terms of agricultural production. So the value chain, there's a missing value chain from the market, from the production on the farm, straight to the market. And this is a major challenge to the tea industry, which is not considered as productive like cocoa and some other production lines in Ghana. Then we also found out that another major challenge that you face with the tea production is that tea basically, when you plant it, it has a way of degrading land. And once you have planted tea, you might find it extremely difficult to use the same land for other production. You have to continue with the tea production. And this is causing a lot of problem because when you look at the Ghanaian land system, the Ghanaian land system is quite demanding. It is complex, and sometimes you may not be lucky to get leases. People willing to lease land for you at such levels without trying to make some claims back on it. Then the second challenge with the tea industry in Ghana is the market. Currently, the Ghanaian tea market is facing two major challenges. The first challenge is from the Chinese. The Chinese are the biggest importers, exporters of tea to Ghana. And now they have been joined by the Kenyans. Since last year, Kenya is now exporting massively tea into Ghana. So the problem is this: many of the middlemen and suppliers in Ghana would rather take Kenyan tea, Chinese tea, market them, than wait to market tea which is produced locally in Ghana, because there's a market for domestic consumption. So how do you change that market demography? That is a major challenge that the country has to deal with. Then also for the tea industry, and like the presenter has shown, there must be a good agro-processing plant. There must be a very good system of processing the tea leaves into quality tea bags. This is also a missing ingredient. And this missing ingredient is not just because of technology, but because there are very few people who have those skills. There are many people who can pick, there are many people who can aggregate tea, but the technology and the skills needed to process tea from leaves to market is a major challenge. And this is one of the areas that has to be addressed. And so when you look at all these factors together, the question now becomes, how do you generate economic benefit from tea? How do you improve tea production? And it's our candid opinion, based on some of our own research finding, that the first thing you need to do is you must start pilot projects. There must be some international collaboration, and then you take the existing tea producers and start some kind of pilot project with them, where you do a demonstration plant showing them how they can improve the quality of their tea, because already the market is there. They can get market segmentation. If the market in Ghana is supposed to grow by 10%, it means if you introduce new quality tea, there's a very good chance of it selling. And then there's also a good export market, because already from what has been seen, Ghana can export tea. So what we think is, one, there must be some international collaboration with small farmers to do demonstration plants where new forms of tea can be produced. And you cannot factor out the Koreans and the Chinese right now. This collaboration has to bring in the Chinese and the Kenyans, who are the major importers of tea to Ghana. And then this will also need to come up with a very important government policy, because without that policy framework, these big importers might not be interested in any form of collaboration in order to make the local tea industry grow. Because once they don't have that collaboration with them, they will not let the project succeed. So there needs to be an international collaboration. There needs to be a policy, a clear policy on tea production. There's presently no policy on tea production in Ghana. It is only couched along the agricultural policy. And then there's also a need for the financial market alignment, because I saw the analysis given by Mohammed about some of the profit you can make in terms of producing tea. They are very good analysis, but in the Ghanaian sense, a lot of costs go into inputs, because Ghana too has all the raw materials to produce tea. But when you look at the current cost of inputs, they are quite high. It's one of the reasons why Unilever is moving from Ghana to Nigeria, because of the current high costs in the financial market. So there has to be some new financial market framework that can assist to make the tea industry grow. Because if those financial frameworks are not there, it's going to make it much more expensive. And all of us know the dynamics of the market. Once the production cost is too high, you might not be able to market it. You might not be able to sell it. So these are some of the few points I want us to look at, especially as we discuss the different strategies in how we can make Ghana a tea production hub. The import market is high. The export market there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of potential for local consumption. But the major issue is The players are very few and they are shrinking very fast because they cannot compete with large importers who are bringing tea into the country. So these are some of the things we need to point out. And then also, there's a new global trend with the tea market, which is also affecting and making the competition for Ghana tea market very, very strong. On a global level, consumption is lagging behind production. There's a global glut in the tea market where there's so much production and they're not accompanying consumption, especially since COVID-19. So you find that in a situation like that, where there seems to be a market that can consume a lot of coffee, the competition will be very high by some of these high importers and exporters of coffee. So these are just some of the things I want us to look at, especially as we consider making empowering the tea industry in Ghana. Thank you so much.
Super presentation, Prof. Thank you very much. Very, very insightful. You've gone really deep into Ghana and you've really outlined the challenges as far as tea production is concerned in Ghana, the opportunities, and then what can be done. Very, very nice, Prof. Thank you very much. So for now, let's open the door for questions. If you have any question to any of the person who have done the presentation, kindly speak up. Thank you very much.
Maybe I can start some of the questions to Mohammed.
Sure.
Yes, okay, please go ahead, Prof.
Okay. So, Mr. Mohammed, I wanted to ask, how is India dealing with the competition from China and Thailand and Bangladesh in terms of tea exportation and profitability? Because in our analysis, we discovered that even though India is producing a lot of tea, you're also exporting tea. You're also importing tea from some of these countries. So how are you balancing these import-export issues? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Very good question. This is the customer preference where Chinese tea are blended with different type of tea that is grown in India, just to get the volume. And this is very limited. Our imports are very limited because as for the current figures, our production is at 1350 million kgs. So we have a very small segment of importing tea, basically to blend and re-export or for specific customer-oriented demanding this type of tea, like oolong tea, white tea, green tea as a health drink. So this has been approved by the government to you can import some percentage of tea, but not in totality. It is coming from basically from China. Some tea is also coming from Africa, like Kenya and Rwanda, and reblended and exported to countries like UAE, countries like Canada, countries like USA, re-exported, because the cost of production is very low when you buy the tea at a very low price and blend and make it a attractive tea with a vast margin of profit.
Prof, do you have a follow-up question on this? You've asked the question I had really wanted to ask Mr. Mohammed.
Yes, please.
Yes, please go ahead, Prof.
What is the question? Say it again.
No, I'm asking Prof whether he has a follow-up question.
Oh,
Professor Gidi, are you still here?
I'm muted. Sorry, I was muted. I was going to
Oh,
ask
okay.
Mohammed, what is the current import figures of Indian tea to Ghana? And why is India not joining the rat race to send plenty of tea to Ghana? Why have they left it to the Chinese and also to the people from Sri Lanka?
yeah. As you see the import bill, it comes from Sri Lanka, but tea comes from China. China has been a major importer, and they have been the front leader in tea. Probably the cost of production doesn't match with the Chinese part of cost of production. There is a imbalance. Otherwise, Indian tea also will find a market in Ghana. But since there is a dominance of Chinese market, to dislodge this market, because consumer is already used to a Chinese trend of tea, and Indian tea, that has to be again, depending on market survey, then only you can think of offloading this tea in the malls, or directly in packaging tea. I'm not sure whether these Indian tea packeteers are already marketing in tea. That angle I have to look into, which are the exporters exporting to Ghana. And one factor is transportation. When you do it is a long way from India, from Surat, or from the western India side to the western coast of Africa, Pacific. So transportation can be an added cost for this. Uh, if the value of tea, if you take it at par, if you add the value of transportation, cost of transportation, this will be higher. So the probably that's the one reason the Indian tea is not finding a very attractive market in Ghana. But I'm sure the valuation and the health drink wise, this has got a huge market here of Indian tea in Ghana. That is there. Yes, please.
Yeah, I was also going to find out from you, with your connection with the Indian tea industry, is
Yes.
it possible to discuss with any of the major tea growers to
Yes.
find some kind of collaboration with small tea farmers in Ghana and to set up a demonstration plant?
Yeah, of course. I am there to help you. But you see, as you have mentioned, there is a question of land availability and land surrender, land regulations, and there we must have a handful of small growers who will be willing to start tea plantation in a systematic way, and then proceed further. So far, I don't know the rural economy. What is the cost of living in Ghana? So, if their economic below economic level, threshold level, so they will definitely require funding. And this funding, and after producing the tea, they have to find a factory to produce the tea. So, one way uh, for Rainforest Alliance, or Solidaire, or FAO, or IFAD. These are the international organizations which can develop a module. They have it in different countries, and the same thing can be replicated in Ghana. As for Indian partners, who they are exploring South Africa in a very big way. Indian plantations are already existing in Uganda, Rwanda, Malawi. So they are buying old plantation and refurbishing it and increasing the production. Slowly, I think this can be negotiated with these tea garden owners or companies from India to start plantation with the government, discussion. This much 1,000 hectares will be available for plantation. We are giving you this land and develop this industry. That is also possible. It is a possibility. If
Yeah,
Indian various companies have gone to 3 or 4 big companies have gone to start plantation in Rwanda, Malawi, and Zimbabwe.
yeah, because I was going to challenge you. Is it not possible we'll do some kind of survey and some
Yeah.
preliminary studies in
Yes.
collaboration with the University of Water and Water Science and Engineering, and then
Yeah.
we work as a tripartite, look at the
Yeah.
economic imperatives, work
Yes.
with the university, and then
Yes.
do like a small report on how we can kickstart a pilot project in the Ghana tea industry, interview some of the tea farmers, look at their
Yeah.
perspective, do
Yes.
some more critical economic analysis of the tea
Yes.
exports and some of the challenges. And then
That's
if we have a good proposal, we can put it up to either Indian investors who might be
yes.
interested in throwing their heart into it. What do you suggest?
Yes. And I see it as a very big opportunity for Indian plantation companies to go in for large scale plantations, because in that case the cost of production will be less, and side by side they can help small growers to bring in their teas to the main factory, because investment will be in factory is huge. So you can produce a perishable tea is perishable. Green leaf you have to manufacture within 14 hours. So this side by side small tea growers also can thrive in like an Indian situation. There's a very good possibility. Thank you for
Yeah.
this.
Thank you. So, Mike, I will want to hand over to you, and I think that's one thing we can pursue further from here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, very well, Prof. Thank you very much. In fact, you've asked some of the questions that were in my head because you've really outlined the challenges faced by the tea industry in Ghana, and you've come out with the solution, which is establishment of demonstration plots. And I think that is just the best way to go because, as you've indicated, the market is there already. The tea market, we have it in Ghana. Just that it is in the hands of the local farmers. It is not well organized. It is not well formalized. And then government do not pay, I mean, government has not really invested much into the tea industry. So it is not so much formalized as we have in other countries. That is a fact. But I think that if we collaborate, we can come out with a report. We can conduct a study and look at the dynamics, look at the situations around and see what are the opportunities and what can we do. Then based on that report, we can take a decision. And I really think that establishing the demonstration plot will be a perfect idea. And then because the land is there, we have, we have a very suitable land in many parts of the country that we can really establish these demonstration plots where tea can really trade very well. So I think it is that should be a very good beginning. If Mohammed can collaborate with the other tea producing partners, then we can have these demonstration plots just for experimentation to see how it goes. Then we take it up from there. I think it is possible. Thank you very much. Please, if there are other questions, kindly ask. Yes,
Hello, Mike. Can I
please,
speak,
please,
please?
yeah, yes, please go ahead.
Okay.
Damascus, please go ahead.
Wait. Uh, Mike, I'm speaking. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can hear you.
we can hear you now.
Okay. Thank you very much to the facilitators. They made a very elaborate presentations. And for Mohammed, I enjoyed the aspect of his presentation that talk about value additions and the fact that consumers are becoming more conscious of health and they need tea that are of high health benefit. My question to Mr. Mohammed is, India is a global leader, or they have a great market share in the global tea market, and they are having interest in promoting the tea production in Ghana. At the latter part of his presentation, he did indicate that he could lend a hand at a certain level. So I want to know if this project, or if this discussion is taken further, at what level is he or his company or his country coming in? Are they coming in to support in the production of tea, just the production alone, or are they likely to be investing in the processing as well? And what level of investment is required for the processing of tea in Ghana? Thank you. And I have another question for Prof. Prof also did indicate all the challenges that we are facing as a country and what we could do. And I'm thinking, I don't know if Prof will side with me. If the government policy comes in perfect, it set a roadmap for all the stakeholders to be guided in a way that will benefit the investor and benefit the country, as well as the farmers and landowners. In that process, if we have a tea marketing board, whether I call it tea marketing board or tea regulation board, but an entity that will serve as a bridge between the government, the investors, and the farmers, and their sole aim is to develop the tea sector. Could that be helpful? Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Very. I'm very happy you have asked me very important question. How to go ahead? First thing is to make a blueprint. The blueprint is, tea will be grown in the land. So how much the land is available? One is a big plot of land, 1,000 hectares, 2,000 hectares, 3,000 hectares. This government have to do an open tender and invite international investors. So part of this Indian also will come in. Or straight away you can we can have a dialogue with Indian tea growers to open fields in Ghana, tea fields. But having only having tea fields will not be the answer. You have to have developed manufacturing process units, which are now very modernized with very limited manpower requirement. Only thing, the power has to be ensured at 24/7. Secondly, while making this more roadmap, we can think of a cooperative type of farming where it's a benefit to the growers as well. After putting them in the factory, the factory owner also gets a benefit of marketing the same tea. But whole gambit is can be rested with forming a tea board, like in India, or you have rightly mentioned that we have to have a tea marketing board or tea, um, under the banner of Tea Board of Ghana, which will have one is land available production area, then where all you will cultivate. That come the Labor Security Plantation Act, similar to in India. It's very well regulated, but it can be further taken forward. And that is the way we can quickly turn the table in production side, and improve employment generation, production, and reduce the import bill.
Right. Thank you very much. So, Prof, if you are there, can you answer?
One of the problems with government is the fact that government only responds when they have facts. I will give you an example. 25 years ago, Nigeria became the highest producer of cassava in the world, because a study was done and it showed that cassava was needed, the value chain of cassava was needed to produce fufu and gari, which was needed as an urgent food aid in Liberia. And also in China, they needed it for feeding of animals for production. So you see, if you are going to set up a tea board, or you are going to set up a roadmap for investors, first and foremost, you need to present them with concrete facts, because investors respond to facts. I will give you another example. I was following recently an analysis by Ghanaian artists about how some Nigerian artists have become global brands. And what you find is that they became global brands not because they left Nigeria, but because the government expanded the internet base and made a lot of things based on internet banking, admission procedure, registration for school, everything became internet based. So you find that in Nigeria now, there are over 120 million internet users. So it was easy for the music industry to take that platform. So we first of all need to establish a framework which we can use to meet government and say, look, if you improve the tea industry, look at the benefit for everybody. Look at the potential that is available. Look at the potential local market. Even if you're not importing, even if you're not going to export, look at the potential import gap you have when it comes to tea consumption. If foreigners and people who are exporting tea to India, to Ghana, from China, from India, from Kenya and UAE, are making a whopping $300 million just selling local tea in Ghana supermarkets. And then the government and the investors can just get 10% market share of that. You know what that means in terms of profitability. So the first step is you must present government with concrete facts. We must present policymakers with the facts that they need. And that's where the demonstration farm comes in. Because as you are doing policy and you have demonstration, you can convince people about what to do. Look at that initiative that was done in Republic of Benin, the Shongai Farm, the sustainability farm. It has become a global model today, which is adopted by everyone. So yes, we can do it, but people want to see and people want to be sure that where they want to put their money, profit can come from it. That's why I wanted us to see how we can collaborate, a tripartite collaboration where we do a small survey about the Ghanaian tea industry, come up with some of these benefits, interview the tea farmers, and then we can confront policymakers, politicians about it, and you'll be amazed what can come out of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Prof, I think I totally agree with you, Prof. Thank you very much. Yeah, we can still take some few questions, if any. Otherwise, I think we'll spend over an hour. Okay. So, Mr. Mohammed, can you give her a concluding remark? Mohammed, unless you unmute. Please unmute.
Oh,
Good.
unmute, is it?
Yes. Now go ahead. Just some few comments, then I'll go to Prof for some few comments, then we close.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, please go ahead.
Oh, my comments. You want my comments, is it?
Yeah, just a concluding remark.
Oh, so Thank you once again for a lovely discussion with this webinar. It has been a brainstorming, different ideas, different problems we have sorted out. And to sum up, we must put forward a socio-economic survey, whether this will be a viable proportion, and taking the experience from the Indian situation, and then put it on the table of policymakers of Ghana, and how they are keen to develop the industry on a small scale or a very big scale. Both way it can be possible. Indian investors will be definitely interested to invest in Ghana, provided they are welcome to that country and show, given the in support that this land will be available, then the manpower will be available, and then a similar way they have done it in Rwanda or Uganda, the same thing can be replicated here for a big plantation. As for the small scale farmers, they have to be trained, and I can be a facilitator to this for this training module. This is first is at the grassroots level, that is a language barrier you will have. Second is training of the trainers, then training of the managers. So the correct way of doing it will achieve success. That is what I see. And once we have a tea marketing board or tea board to do the liaison work between the three parties, one is the landowners, one is the government, and one is the investors. So it is a very attractive proposition to invest in Ghana. I'm sure there will be global players in this to invest, and both in plantation as well as in tea processing, which is in tea factories. So these are the points, and I have very enlightened with the discussion we have with all the participants here, and I look forward for another webinar after we carry forward this agenda, after we did discussion at the Ghana University level, what they have to say. And I'm always there to support the Ghanaians in going in for tea plantation and research or whatever it is, with my experience and background.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I go to Prof for a very brief remark.
Okay, thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity to talk, and also for this opportunity to look at the tea industry in Ghana. I want to close my remark by challenging the University of Water and Science Engineering to begin the process of doing a socioeconomic landscape analysis of tea production in Ghana. Let me repeat it, a socioeconomic landscape analysis of tea production in Ghana. We can start from the preliminaries, just do a survey of tea producers in Ghana, a survey of the existing policies, and thereafter, once we have a preliminary report, we can also call on Mohammed to see if we can get funding to do an in-depth policy brief, which we can then give to government. So those are closing remarks. Thank you.
Very well, Prof. And well noted. I think after this webinar, we'll still have further discussions, and I think the university will take it up. So thank you. Let me take this opportunity to thank Mr. Mohammed and Prof for the wonderful presentation, very insightful, a lot of lessons learned, and we are really very, very grateful. To the other participants, please keep checking our website. We do have series of webinars, which we do post in our website. So please check and then join anytime one comes out. So thank you. Thanks to all of you for joining. But please, can we